Hey, it's Winning Wednesday with Charlotte Stallings and a host of amazing guests tonight. So, welcome everybody. I hope you've had a great Wednesday. They call it Hump Day, it's middle of the week, and so we're just making it on through. So, hope your day has been great. I always appreciate when you join me here on Winning Wednesday. The whole goal is to win without perfection or permission in every area of our lives. And you might have heard me say it before. If this is your first time visiting here, it's like, where did this thing start? Who is she? What's this all about? I got this idea back at the beginning of the pandemic. And really, it was Women's History Month. No. It was Financial Literacy Month. And I thought, how come? What can I contribute? So just kind of showcase some people who were winning in their finances to help all of us. And it just kept moving from there. And so it's been a couple of years. This is about a podcast. We're streaming on YouTube and some other spaces. And I am a curator of content and pulling people together who are winning in every aspect of their lives. And just want you to be able to see and get examples of real people that we can touch and we can feel and we can see who are living real lives and able to share with us what it is they're doing in hopes that we can get some ideas, some inspiration. And so I am so delighted tonight to have some great folks on, people that I love and I know, and they're amazing. And they're younger than the crew from the couple of weeks ago. And I just thought, let's showcase some folks who've been in the game of marriage. And I didn't want anybody thinking, oh, it's all about the old heads. No. It's about all of us. And so we're going to jump right into it. And thank you all for being here. Hey, Lorena's with us. We're so excited to see you. Thank you. And others who are with us, thank you. Thank you for staying up late and jumping in. And I've got some good stuff that's coming up down the road. So I'll be announcing that at the end of our time together tonight. But what I really want to do is just bring some really cool people on who agreed to be here. They stayed up late tonight. and shortcutting their beauty rest so that they could be here and talk with all of you all. So thank you for joining us as well. So I want you to help me welcome some cool couples. I'm going to bring them up and they're going to tell you a little about themselves and how they met. And we're going to talk it out. We're going to chit and chat tonight. Okay. So please help me welcome. And we're just going in alpha order here. I call her co-prez. Metoyers, she's the most stylish person I know. She going to dress you up and dress you down. Her husband is amazing. He's a really cool guy, Elder Daly. So help me welcome, please, Latoya and Davidson Daly. They got the big smiles. Here they come. Let's say hey to them. Where's your camera? I don't see you all. Okay, let me pop you out and then pop you back in, okay? And my camera's being weird, but okay, let's try them again, okay? I can't see you. I don't know what's going on, but I'll pop you back in. Okay, let's try this again with some of the others, okay? So here's what I want to do. I'm going to bring the Dailies in. Let's bring the Kellys in as well and see if we can pop them in. There they go. Hey, Kellys.
Hey. How you doing?
Hey, this is Pastor Danny, Pastor Jervoy Kelly, and we're going to pop the Davidsons back in. Their device, something happened right there, so we're going to get them in. Team Kelly, say hello to the people real quick, okay?
Hey, y'all. What's going on?
Hey, how you guys doing?
Good to see y'all. It is so good. So, and then we have cool couple, calm, relaxed, laid back, love them. Erica and Daryl Metoyer, about to bring them on screen. Hey to the Metoyer.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Oh, get some bass in there. Hello, everybody. He's a real calm, cool gentleman. When he gets a word, he's going to bring it. He's going to speak up. He's going to let you know. Erica's just real calm and sweet and loving and kind. And I love all of you. So thank you here. Thank you for being here tonight. And let's bring up the Davidson Daly family, okay? Let's see if we can pop them back in. There they are! Hey,
How are y'all?
Oh, listen to
Good
it. How are y'all?
evening.
It's good to see everybody.
Hey.
Thank you. Thank you all for being here. It is really, really, really my honor. And the people are here and they want to hear from you. So I'm going to hush my mouth. And look at Dr. Gina talking about, I hope the dailies are ready. I think they're ready. They stay ready. It's going to be good. So I know you all through church, through Pastor Danny. I call her my consultant, millennial consultant. I call her when I have questions about a lot of different things, and I appreciate that. Latoya and I have co-chaired a ministry at church for many years. Erica, known them for years. Again, we know each other through church, and I love and respect and honor each of them. And so February February 14th isn't the only, day to recognize love and such. And I really wanted to honor and celebrate marriages and hear more about what makes it work. So let's just start. We'll start with the dailies, a little alpha order, and tell us about yourselves, what you do, what you do in your free time, things like that. So everybody doesn't know you already. So you all go right ahead, please.
Sure. Hello, we're the Dailies, Latoya and Davidson. We've been married. This is year 23. It'll be in June. What do we do in our spare time? We run the children around.
Yeah, we're chauffeurs.
So we're chauffeurs during the night, and we work during the day. But yeah, that's pretty much how we spend our time, is running our kids around.
Mm-hmm. And you do it with love, and they're
Yes.
amazing young people, and they range from new recent college grads, so 20 something, down to, how old are the twins?
13.
13 already.
Yep, they're
Oh
teenagers.
my
Help us, Lord.
Already, it's not going fast enough.
But you say it's not going fast enough, Elder.
And when they leave, he gonna take to the bed.
What, in like, oh my gosh, I'm heartbroken, or like I'm just chilling, I'm resting?
Yes, heartbroken because his girl is gone.
Yeah, that empty nesting is a whole thing for real. So that'll be fun. Well, thank you all for introducing yourselves. Let's pivot to Team Kelly. Team Kelly, tell us a little about yourselves, what you all do, please.
Hey, how you guys doing? Me and my wife, we're partners in many different ways, in businesses, in ministry, all those good things, especially in marriage. And so we own a couple of businesses, Northeastern Studio and your boy Kelly and Company. And so we're just honored to be here with these other amazing couples. So it's going to be good.
Yeah, we're going to have a lot of fun today.
Absolutely. I like that, Team Kelly. And we know them as Team Kelly. It's not one without the other. So
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Just drop a little something for us real quick. Those businesses, you talked about the studio, and there's a business you have, Pastor T. Just if you wouldn't mind mentioning that real quick for us, please.
Yeah, so our venue business is North Houston Studio. We have 3 venues located on the north side of Houston, and we rent them out for anything from conferences, birthday parties, any gathering that you can imagine. We've probably had it in our studio. We can host anywhere from 100 to 150 people. So if you want to have a good time or celebrate, we'd love to have you.
And on the other side, we host locations. Those 3 locations are also for creatives. So people who are into photography, cinematography, productions, things like that, you also can do that there. And then we also have your boy Kelly and Company, where we also provide services for media, for branding, photography, cinematography, web design, graphics, you name it.
Yes.
You name it. And if you didn't name it, then y'all could probably still do it, right?
Yes, exactly.
We're gonna figure it out. So there's no thing we can't get together. So I love it. And you've taken shots of me, and I love them. I still use them. So thank you. It's great to meet you all. Thank you for being here. Last but not least, it's the Metoyers. So please just tell the people a little about you all.
You want to tell the people?
Go ahead.
Okay. Hello, we're the Metoyers, and we've been together now going on 18 years, married. Yeah.
How were babies when you got married?
Nah.
Not really.
No.
18 years? Okay.
No. I wouldn't say we was in our 20s. So
Yeah.
we was at the midpoint. Yeah, so married for almost 18 years. Actually 18 years in 3 months. It'll be 18. Yeah, so and I'm a stay-at-home mom. I'm finally just like cool with that. I'm a stay-at-home.
Yeah.
And I do some running around the kids too.
So you know what the dailies are talking about, huh?
I know exactly what they talking about. But similar. I think they got me beat a little bit. But hey. So, and he's the wonderful provider we have in this house. So that's us right now.
That's awesome. That's wonderful. I love it. Thank you all for sharing. And so I want to jump into some dialogue. Okay. I want to jump into some dialogue with you all. And I sent you some questions just so you could kick it with the people. And I want to say to anybody here, if you've got some questions, pop them in the chat. We'll pop them on screen. Each couple is like, yeah, I'm here. I want to share and help and encourage and support. So that's what we're about tonight. How can we win without perfection or permission in our relationships? So I'm going to throw this out. Whoever wants to jump in, just how did you all meet? How did you meet? And I say that because what I want you to also talk about is not right now, but we'll get there. The folks who are out looking for Mr. Right or Miss Right. How did you all meet? What would you, kind of say to those folks later on if you'll keep that in the back of your mind? So whoever want to jump in, how did you all meet? And did you know they were the one right at the beginning?
We met at U of H downtown. We were both in school. It was in a math class, actually. I was on time and somebody was late. And I mean, I remember everything she, from what she was wearing. We won't go there, but
tell us. You better go there. You can't say that.
She had on some Jordan 3s, some water pants, a black shirt. Her hair was
you really remember? You wasn't playing.
Yeah, I have a good memory if I need to. Her hair was a lot shorter, and it was 2 different colors. It was, and she came in the class late. And went to sleep. But that was our first time meeting each other. So, I didn't think she was the one. I mean, it didn't even cross my mind that day.
Okay.
But 25 plus years later, I guess she is.
Yeah, you remember all the details she had on it. Why you go to sleep, Latoya, in class? Why?
Yeah.
That's another. Gonna leave it at that. Something's gonna just stay there, right? That's
she
really
was passing
nice.
though, Dr. Gina. She did pass.
Okay, she did pass because
I'm going by comment.
Absolutely. So, met in class. Did you kind of get some inkling she was the one? And Latoya, how about you? Were you like, oh no?
I actually approached him first. We actually had a couple of classes together. We did have the math class, but we also had a computer class. So for y'all young folks, that was back when email first came out. And we were learning how to use email. So you had to send your neighbor an email. So I had to send Davison an email. He was my neighbor. And so one of our friends gave him my number after class. And so I actually made the first move because I was like, oh, he looked like he can do some things.
Okay, we gonna keep pushing it with that one. Just falling asleep in class. Okay, that's good. So it was through school. Now U of H, there's a connection here. Team Kelly, U of H, isn't there something y'all met up with?
Yes, we did.
Okay, got those fingers and talk about that. Okay, so how did you all meet? It was on campus there at U of H also?
Yeah, I'm gonna let my wife tell it because she's telling a lot more personality.
She's telling a little more personality up Pastor too. That's funny.
I'm gonna tell the quick version. So we started actually at Lone Star. We met each other, and we were just friends. We just had the same type of friends, but we didn't talk much at all. I always thought he was very, very handsome, but he was in a relationship. I was in a relationship, so we could not be friends. So we didn't talk. And so then life just sped us up and took us to U of H. We didn't know that we were both going to U of H. Wow. And we went to a mutual friend's birthday party, and he was single. I was single. And I was like, oh, okay. And so we took pictures, to date ourselves a little bit. This was on Facebook before you had cell phones that you could upload pictures. We used to carry around these mobile cameras.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I remember that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we took photos that night and I uploaded them uploaded them to Facebook. And Travoy had my number from a prayer group that I used to lead at Lone Star. So it was like years ago. He just had my number still. And like a week after this event, he sent me a text message. And the text message said, I like our photo. Hey, this is Travoy. I like our photo on Facebook. I'm going to make it my screensaver. So he had a little game. And it's I was like, he want me. I was like, he want me. And so he invited me out on a date, and here we are. What?
Been married 9 years. So
9? Wow. I remember when y'all got married.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
9 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I can't believe it's been that long.
I know. Like time can go quickly. That's
Yeah.
we
really
got
neat.
married I was 23, she was 22.
Okay. So 20s also like Daryl and Erica then.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's very cool. Awesome. So Daryl and Erica, was it y'all met at U of H also? We run it. We got a thing
No.
here.
Oh no, we met in high school,
Yeah.
and
We wasn't high school sweethearts.
we was not.
No.
I was like, I don't recommend how he introduced himself to me for him to anybody to introduce themselves that way.
Okay, you got to tell. You can't leave.
Right. We need the deets.
He bit me in the hallway, and I was just like,
Did you say bite?
Bit?
he bit me on my arm.
Regular?
Yeah, with your teeth.
Okay.
All right, there.
And he,
Daryl, I have no
It
words.
worked.
You got to explain that one, sir.
it did not work.
It worked.
In that moment, it did not work. I was trying to find out who this guy with an afro and a dashiki on in 1990 something bite me in the hallway. And from that point there, I was braiding his hair.
Yeah.
And then, from braiding his hair to going to prom with him, meaning we still wasn't dating.
No.
Just by the way, I just didn't want to go with who I was going with. So I chose him last minute. And from there, a few years later, maybe 2 years later, he found where I lived. That's a whole nother thing, y'all.
Yeah.
Don't even know how to find where I live. But he found where I live. And from there we started dating, and then we got married.
Yep.
So yeah.
What
Don't
motivated
recommend
the
it.
bite, Daryl? I have to ask. What motivated the bite?
Please.
She looked tasty.
That's why we on at 8:30, y'all. Put the children together to bed and come on in. And I always say, if you miss Bible study, not a problem. We don't have to work or something here on Wednesday night. So
My
yes,
brother
yes.
Daryl said he wanted to mark his territory.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, Daryl. Oh, quiet Daryl coming with it. I see you. Okay. That's good.
Okay.
And so it was something. So I love how you all have shared that. Now I want to flip it, okay? Let's get right into what would you say to the person who is like, man, I want to meet somebody. Like, I'm looking. What would you say after, from your experiences, what you've observed, having been married a while? What would you say to the person who's saying, I'm looking for my boo? I want to be booed up together like this or something. Anything.
I think, we all have an idea of what that perfect person looks like, right? So I think, like even Erica said it, right? Daryl wasn't, what she imagined, right? In so many words. So I think you have to open your eyes because that person might be right in front of you. Let go of your preconceived notions and look at what's in front of you because you never know. That person could be right next to you. You might meet them at HEB or, you never know, but they might not look what you expect them to look like or act or do what you expect them to do. So, so just be open to new people and new things.
That's good. That's good. Hearing from one gentleman, others, what are your thoughts? What would you advise to men and women, somebody who's looking to find their person, their soulmate, who they're supposed to be with? Any thoughts? Anybody else?
I would say get to know you first, get to know yourself first, know what you want, know what you need, know what you don't like, know what you don't need, so that you can just kind of weed out what are priorities to you and but just have that clear understanding of what it is that you're looking for, because that will prevent you from basically wasting time and getting to know people that are really not in your categories or with the certain character traits or characteristics that you're looking for, morals and values even. So just kind of really understand yourself first before you just begin to date and things like that.
Yeah. Okay, so be clear.
Yeah.
So I hear a couple of things. Be open, if we might miss it because we're so locked into they got to be like this, it got to be like that is what I hear elders say. And then Pastor T saying, know yourself and be very clear about what is important, what's foundational. Am I getting that right from both of you?
Yes.
That's correct.
Okay. And somebody else was going to say something. I apologize.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say set a standard and try not to go below your standard. Because I think a lot of times, I was telling Erica this a couple of days ago, I feel a lot of times for men and women, we get to a point in our life where we feel we're getting too old, and everything we wanted in life, we just kind of throw it to the back burner just to be married. And I think when you do that, you lose yourself, first of all, from what Travoy was saying. And secondly is you just find whatever you can find. And I think that's a huge mistake. So never drop your standard. Stick with the standard. God will build everything you need outside of that, as long as you stick to your standard.
You better come with the Bible study word tonight.
That's real good.
Yeah, that's real good. And the men done chimed in. So ladies, I want to hear from you. So stick to the standard, because then you're right. I'll get with anybody because I want to be married. I want to somebody warm in the bed, whatever that might look like. That's good. Ladies, any thoughts for the person who's, looking?
I guess I can say, just to piggyback off of my husband, sticking to your standard, because that was one thing that kind of made us separate. Because I'm gonna tell everything. So we dated for like 24 hours in high school, but because I wasn't that girl, he actually came to me and said, "Okay, so you're not doing that, and she is. So I'm gonna talk to you later, right?" But I held my standard, and eventually he came back around looking for me. And so I would say, yeah, definitely, stick to your standard. Don't, fall pressure to that he won't come back or whatever the case may be. Just hold your standard. And by the way, I also did write down in my book that he was going to be my husband. We were going to have 3 kids, and here we are.
You manifested that thing. You
yeah, and that was before I knew manifesting was a thing.
Writing it down and believing it. And so since we're in the real talk space, and that's why literally I do these at 8:30 and talking to real people. So I appreciate, Erica, your candor and your transparency and saying, you weren't that girl. So it was a 24-hour thing. And so, Daryl, what made you circle back around to Erica, if you're okay with sharing that?
Oh no, I'm cool with it. I really wasn't the person you would want to marry when I first started talking to her. But I think what was shown to me was she saw something in me that I hadn't seen in myself. And once I found that what she saw initially, I had to come back to her because she was the only person that I knew without a shadow of a doubt I wanted to spend the rest of my life with.
Oh,
sure. I was horrible. I was so horrible.
No.
So Erica, you did what Davidson said. You kind of saw beyond that, and yet you were like, but I'm not gonna bend and just and do all this and be all this. So this is who I am. Take me or leave me. Was that what Daryl? She wasn't budging.
Nope. Not at all.
That's why you came up with them standards. Real good. Let's keep here. Ladies, what would you say to the person? That's why we're getting right there. Real talk. What would you say to the ladies who are looking for somebody, or gentlemen, whomever? Thoughts?
I think a lot of times as ladies, it's hard out there. And I'm like, thank goodness I don't have to do what some ladies have to do these days. But I know a lot of it's the searching, but maybe not so much the searching. Do the things you like, go to the places you like. Don't be afraid to go do things, by yourself, or, you don't always have to be with someone, because you could bump into him doing things that you like to do. And then you found something in common that you guys can connect on initially. So I think just put yourself out there. Don't be so concerned about what somebody's going to say because I'm sitting somewhere eating by myself. I'm at a bar eating by myself, or things like that, because you could run into him. I think a lot of, like, I don't remember who said it, but you get to a certain age and you're like, oh my goodness, I should be married now with 2.5 kids with the white picket fence. But whenever it's your time, it's the right time.
Yeah.
So I think get a lot of the searching out of it and just be.
Be. I agree with that. I said that a couple of weeks ago. I remember Ron and I were dating, and he was tripping, and I was like, I'm not going to keep sitting by the phone waiting on you to call. And I decided in Minnesota, where all the snow is going now, I wanted to go swimming at the Y. So it was cold dead winter, and I go swimming and I go movies and whatnot. It's like I found myself again, and because I had kind of given it up and just I'm going to sit and wait. No, go do what you love. And then it's like, I think that just created an open space for me. And him and people were like, hey, I was like, hey, back at you. What I loved, and then hear people who have that common mindset. So I hear you loud and clear on that, co-pres. Thank you. Pastor Danny,
Yes.
you thought, what would you say? And you counsel a lot of women, you do a lot of empowerment. What would you say?
I would say number one is to don't rush it. Like, let it be a date. I think that everybody that you go on a date with is not your spouse. And so I think that instead of trying to see, like, is this my spouse? I think sometimes that's like the first question people ask. It's like, just go to the movies or just go get you something to eat. Like, learn who this person is, because you may not even want like them as, you may prefer them as a friend, or, and so I think that's the one thing that I would say. And I think too is like, be willing, going back to the standard, to like observe, put boundaries and respect your boundaries in place. So like when me and Travoy were dating, there was a point where we were just talking, how you talking, but you're not together. It's not a title situation. Well, we didn't have a title, and neither one of us were ready for one. We were very upfront about that. But then when I was ready for a title, he wasn't. So I told him, I'm not waiting for you. And so I went on a date with somebody else. And I really liked Travoy at the time, and I wanted to be with Travoy. But I also recognized that what I wanted, he didn't want. And so I was going to switch it up. And I was like, okay, I want someone who's ready to commit, because this is what I'm ready for now. And that's actually how we got together, because he didn't like that I went on a date.
You didn't like that, huh? Okay. Strategy, was that strategy, or you were?
No, I truly was in the place where, even in my 20s, I just said I had waited for someone before, and it turned out to be so much of a mess that I was truly trying to guard my heart. And I said, I don't want to commit and give, someone all of what I have to offer as a companion, and they're not really ready for that. So it was a place of, don't be so committed or locked down into something that a person isn't. And so I didn't even expect him to be like, let's get together. And the person I went on a date with was a really nice guy. Like, he was a nice guy. He liked me. We had interests. I was like, okay. So it wasn't even like I'm just doing this because. It was like, this also could be someone that I could have a good time with. Yeah.
I was just fresh out of a relationship before, she was been out of a relationship.
Yeah.
I was fresh out of a relationship, a 5-year relationship.
Yeah.
So I was still trying to figure things out.
Yeah.
Yeah. That helped you figure it out, right? He was like, okay, I'm getting a clue right here. So what I hear you saying, Pastor Danny, is you don't have to be rushing right to that. Is this my person?
Yeah. If it's your person, it'll be your person. Like, it doesn't have to, just like we just saw it with everyone's story, like it'll come back around. So I just feel like what's supposed to align will align, and you don't have to force it. We don't have to control it in order to make something happen.
That's good. You all are really helping us, and I appreciate your candor, appreciate you jumping in. So good stuff. If you got any other topics or thoughts on that, bring them up. I want to pivot to another question here. So you've been married, you're in relationship, you dated, all that stuff. I want you to talk about, everything's not roses and perfect in marriage. Would you all agree?
Oh, yeah.
And when you meet somebody, and I said this a couple of weeks ago, if they're like, everything's always perfect, it's like, you lying, you ain't
right.
Because it can be. It can be. And I'm not saying it's supposed to be or speaking anything negative. It can be challenging. You're bringing two grown folks together, and how do you make it work? So I would just ask you all, how do you work through conflicts? How do you work through the things that can be maybe road bumps? So what do you do? What are your thoughts?
I'm the arguer.
And
Davidson is like, Toya, okay, Toya, he's the calm one, and I'm the more hype one. But over the years, I've just kind of learned that some of this stuff, you really think about it, do it really matter?
Right.
I'm just doing stuff to be doing something, it doesn't really matter, you know.
Mhm.
So I just came to the realization that if this is what I want long term, then some of my little foolish stuff, I got to let it go.
Yeah.
Some of the things that I think are important, or I think he's not doing it a certain way, or things like that, is it really worth an argument? Is it really worth a disagreement? Is it really worth getting our blood pressure raised and getting out of our calm space to deal with it? Not really. So I guess you could say don't sweat the small stuff, you know. Not to say that there aren't trials and things of that nature, but I just we just really concentrated on not really making the small things big.
Making the small things big. That's good. That's a word. That's why I say on Wednesday nights, if you can get Bible study, you shall get it here. And that's real. And so I heard a couple of things, Latoya. You came to that realization. There was some internal self stuff you had to do and just go, you know what, really? Is this necessary? That's what I hear you saying there.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. And so, Davidson, when you would just go, like that strategy, was that like?
But you know, there are times when you're gonna have those moments where it's you know, U.S. versus Russia, right? So so you know, you're gonna have to walk. Well, for me, sometimes I know walking away, or maybe you know, you got to pick the time you want that battle, because you know, because if you do it at the wrong time, you might say or do something that you're gonna regret. So, but eventually, you're gonna have to talk it out, and you know, you can't ignore the problem. So it's going to have to be a conversation. And then if it means enough to you, whatever that topic is, next time an issue like that comes around, it's going to be considered, you know, and you're going to think about what it is you have and what it is you have in that other person before you know, you make some mistakes.
Right. Yeah. That's good. So choosing the battles. Don't make small stuff big stuff if it's not necessary. And I like what you said, T, as well. You know, you're thinking long term. So I want this for the long term. Do I need to be doing this right now? That's me paraphrasing and restating. So that's good. Others of you, please, Metoyers. I didn't mess y'all's name up a million times. Forgive me, Erica and Sarah.
You actually got it right tonight. It's Metoyers. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Look at God. When we do it. So both of you, Team Kelly, how do you work through and resolve conflict, or when things get sticky? What do you do?
I think for us, one of the things that we do is we try to understand the individual more. So we realize that the situation can come from many different factors: trauma, misunderstandings, just different perspectives. And so we take the time to ask questions. You know, what are you feeling? What do you mean by that? Can you explain, you know, expound on what you're saying? Can you, and things like that. And so if we're not able to articulate that in that moment, we pause. We get our emotions in check, and then we come back and we have that conversation. We try to avoid having conversations in moments of frustration and anger. And so we just try to gather our feelings first before we address the situation, because we want to be able to be level-headed, and we want to be able to articulate ourselves well, because we understand when we're angry, it's very difficult to really express how we feel or what we're thinking. So we just try to be intentional about taking our time and really be honest and vulnerable with each other. That's the key, being very vulnerable.
Yeah, and what I would say is, I think I'm a person that will try to like put things together like a jump. So he may say something and I may go, what you really meant is this. Like, so he may say like, oh, I don't want to watch this movie. And I'm like, you just hate the movies that I pick. Right. So I've learned to, instead of doing that, truly just ask, like you just said, like, okay, why you don't like this movie? And instead of just assuming. So I found that a lot of the conflicts we would have would be, we were making assumptions. Mostly me making the assumption, but but instead of making an assumption of like, oh, this is what I thought or this is what I think, then just asking. And I think the other thing is we truly give ourselves time to just calm down. So Netflix has been our best friend. Going to get something to eat has been our friend, because having like little breathers sometimes in between things, it takes the initial steam off of a thing. It's kind of like when you first take the plate out the microwave, sometimes it's so hot where you can't eat the food. But if you just let it sit there for a second, then you can digest it and eat it. And so I think that conflict is just kind of the same way. We'll just put on a movie really quick, and before you know it, we cracking up at this movie, and then we like, okay, now tell me what's going on, and because we're in lighter spirits, so we can talk about it. So,
and I would say also, we try to understand. We try to understand each other's love languages, and we make sure that we're quick to forgive each other, so we can move forward. We don't dwell on the situation. And so, with her love language is touch, and it's quality time. So, in moments of frustration, sometimes what I would do is I would go touch her. I would go be affectionate. I spend time with her, like you say, watch movies. She'll cook for me. You know, those things, and those things we're like, okay, this is a sign that we're going to move past this. We're going to put this behind, and we're going to focus on reconcile.
Yeah,
that's good. That's so good. Thank you all for your transparency. You really are helping all of us tonight. Thank you. Daryl and Erica, how about you? What would you say around what you do to? Okay, you don't bite her. You don't bite her. You're a little messy. Please don't bite my girl. I'm messing with you.
So I think once my husband realized that arguments do happen in marriage, because that was an argument for us once I found that out, because he said, or he believed, married couples don't argue. So because he never saw his parents argue. But when he found out that they just used to go in the room,
that's what
he was like, okay, so that happens. But for us, because he works away, so it's a little different for us because we have time apart. So time apart don't work for me. I mean, for us to for arguments, we gotta kind of hash it out in the moment. Sometimes that's not the best idea. And what I've learned over the years is that I have to stop being a playback. Like I have like almost like total recall with a conversation. So that wasn't good. It wasn't working for him. So he could say something and then I would respond and he would say it different. And I'd be like, no, that's not what you said. This is what you said. So that right there was a trigger for him, I believe. And I knew at a point it was a trigger and I didn't care. I wanted to make my point. So I had to learn to not always want to make my point in the moment. Like allow him to walk away, because sometimes he would want to walk away. And I would follow, not closely, I would follow at a distance.
But you're gonna follow, right?
Not, it was never, nothing physical or anything like that. I just wanted to yell. So if I got up close, that means I couldn't yell. So I had to follow from a distance. And that was petty, right? So I had to learn to not be petty. I had to learn not to have total, even though I had total recall still, it just didn't have to tell him. And just allow us to like marinate on the moment so that he could, hear what I was saying in the moment. Yeah. So I felt he didn't hear me, right? So I had to allow him to process so that he can come back and then tell me, okay, I did hear you. And for him, I really don't know how you process it. Like for him, he would just move on. And I didn't like that. He has this saying like, you got to learn to be like water off a duck.
Yeah,
let it slide off your back. Just let it slide off your back, huh?
And I didn't want to just let it slide off. I wanted to talk about it.
So I feel like everything in life is a grain of salt. Everything, no matter how big it is, no matter how small it is, it's a grain of salt. Because if you honestly give yourself time, like everybody has already said, to sit and think about it, it really wasn't that important for you to be fussing and fighting and doing all that. So a lot of times when we should talk things through, I just feel like I would much rather go eat, hang out, have fun, watch TV than to waste that time that I already don't get with my wife, arguing about something with my wife. So like if I could take that 20 minutes and not argue and we can do something together, I would much rather do that, because We don't have that much time here. And if you really think about it, everything that we argue about goes away by the end of the night. So why did you even argue about it in the beginning? It's a grain of salt. It is a grain of salt.
That's so. Bible study if you didn't make it right here. Bible study if you didn't make it. And do you hear the themes for everybody who's tuned in tonight? Do you hear the themes? You know, choosing what's the big thing or not, given the time, the distance, pausing, pumping the brakes to step away from it so we're not saying or doing things in the moment. And I really heard this from everybody. And Erica, you really amplified it. A lot of reflection, like Latoya, you started it. Like I came to a realization, and I'm paraphrasing, or you know, what is this really necessary? And like you say, that total recall is there, Erica. But did you really need to recall every single thing? and you came to that revelation on your own. And so maybe for those of us again dating, or we're married, or whatever may be happening, are you holding on to every single thing? Are you recalling and recapping every single thing? Are you staying in the moment of the heated thing so close that it's going to get really rough and then hard to recover from that? So good stuff you all are sharing with us tonight. Absolutely. I want to be mindful of time. I told you all about 9:15, but if you'll hang with me, because I got a few other questions, and I would ask you all, if you're on and you have some questions, pop them in, and I'm sure they'd be willing to answer. I was going to ask this: when you if folks are going through hell, I asked this a couple of weeks ago, just being really straight up. Somebody's in a relationship, they're dating, they want to get married, or they're married. And you all have talked about talking. Like, I agree, that is the most important thing. The word is really fancy, communicate, but at the core, it's about getting down in there and talking about it. But what would you say to the couple that's dating, that's married, and they're going through pure hell right now? Any thoughts for them? Yes, Erica, hand up. You go right ahead.
I will go first. So at one point we had some time where it was like I threw the word divorce out there, right? So what I had to do, and for a moment I was angry with God for this. When I was a little upset. I don't want to use the word angry, but a little upset because in me voicing to, and praying to God, talking to God about this here moment in our marriage, he wanted me to pray for my husband. And I was like, but wait, I'm telling you, he hurt me. And he was like, okay, I want you to pray for your husband.
Wow.
Because he's hurting. And I was like, here we go again. I'm praying for everybody else about their hurt. And I'm saying, I'm hurting. So what I learned in that moment was, by me praying for him, it helped me, right? So it showed me as well, that I was seeing all of his flaws and all these things, that God wanted me to also see mine. And that once I saw mine, I could no longer not be compassionate toward my husband. And I started to pray for him. And in that, it just opened up a world of a better communication with us, with him learning that even though I pray about those moments and pray, ask God to reveal you, so that when he show you, then you will better understand how to pray in that moment about that situation. So that's
So praying, God shows you what to do, but praying for your spouse, even if you're like hot as fish oil, pray for them. That's good. That takes a lot to be obedient and do that. That's really cool. Others of you, Team Kelly, dailies. What you say to the couple in working through the hell situation right now?
Well, if you're going through conflict, hell, right, you usually blaming the other person.
Yeah.
And sometimes you got to take a look at yourself and find out what part you got to play in it, So is it that person or is it you that's causing this hell? So some self-reflection goes a long way.
And I will add, Latoya was going to say something.
I was just going to say, and get you some people that you can trust, like people that you can go to say, hey, this was going on. I have people in my life that going to be like, Toya, you tripping. you know, and they're not afraid to say you tripping, and I'm not gonna stop being their friend because they told me I'm tripping. You know, so I would say get you some trusted advisors that when you are going through situations and you don't feel like you can talk to your partner at that time, at least you can have someone who can give you some solid, good advice.
Mhm.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. That's really key. The people who are going to tell you the truth. Things like go sit down somewhere.
Basically.
I mean, and you need that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the people who will, when things get better, they're not like mad and holding a grudge. Girl, such and such. They're like, great, I'm here for you. So
Mhm.
that's good guidance. Absolutely.
Yeah, not
Daryl,
the
I
one
didn't want
telling
to
you.
pass over you because Erica shared some things, and Pastor T want to hear from you as it relates to going through a tough time right now. Guidance, anything for them?
Yeah, I was going to say, go to counseling. Go to counseling. In addition to creating a community of people that can hold you accountable, go to counseling. Get professional help because they can give you the tools that you need to work through the issues that you're dealing with, and you realize that the issues are really not that big of a deal. And also humble yourself, like the other people say, is just realize that a lot of what you're doing is contributing to the problem. And so one of the things I had to deal with, had a conversation with myself, with God, actually. Um, he told me when I thought I was doing enough, he said, but you're not doing enough. And so you haven't even scratched the surface of what you could be doing, your potential. Because if you consider everything that I've done for you, speaking of God, Jesus, everything that I have done for you, you have nowhere reached the potential that you could. And so when I began to take that perspective, it's like, wow, there's really more that I can do. So let me try to do more. Let me try to be more loving. Let me try to be more compassionate. Let me try to be more considerate. Let me try to be more selfless and patient. Then I began to see the changes unravel.
Yeah. And I would add that, I don't know, I would say it's layered. The first thing is like, feel the feels of what hell feels like. And I know that may not be like, the most spiritual thing, but girl, cry, or man, cry, take you some time if you need some time. Be frustrated. Stop saying you okay if you're not. Stop trying to over show up for things if you're not. Like, if you're just going through hell, like, let that be your priority. Let getting out of that hell be the priority, not going to do this or keep up with the Joneses or posting. Let coming out of that place of hell be the priority. And sometimes we come out through tears. And of course, the spiritual aspect to that is hell was defeated. And I think that sometimes going through hell, we forget that because it feels terrible. But I think that what prayer does, and what our foundation in Christ does, is it reminds us of the place of which hell can take in our lives. And so, yeah, we can be experiencing it for now, but it was defeated. And so once we are at a place, because we've been in prayer, where we can regain our strength, whatever that overcoming hell looks like, because it looks different. The decisions to overcome that hell look different for everyone, but you will overcome it. And so I think that that when you have the right community around you, that's not going to take, because one of the things is misery loves company. So there are people, when you're going through hell, that will remind you of the hell that you're in and want you to, and then fire you up,
charge you right up, get you all right.
You need people that are going to war with you and war for you, and what it looks like. It doesn't mean that they're warring for you to get your way. It means they're warring for you to get out of this situation. And when you have people that are there warring for you to get out of that situation, and when you're prayerful, I mean, those are, to me, are the recipes for you to overcome and to make it out of that place.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Yeah, that whole feel the feel. And I mean, because and then we don't want to be here. So take the time, because sometimes we try to get real spiritual and like immediately put some scripture on it, move forward, and act like it didn't happen, and that's where maybe things keep recurring. Or we never get some closure because we didn't deal with it. We didn't feel how bad it was, or ugly it was, or how hurtful or the other person, and not to keep dragging or to do the recall, but feel what it feels like. That's a good word. That's good for us. That's good. did I miss anybody in terms of, if they're going through a tough spot? Because we're about to kind of wrap it up. I don't want to keep you all night, but you're helping us, and that's what the comments say. And I really would encourage everybody who's listening now, or you're going to check it out later, if they are helping you, will you please drop that into the chat so that they know it was worth their time to be able to sacrifice and to be here tonight. So please let them know. So when they go back and look at this, I'm going to ask you all to just do two things as you wrap up, and I want to hear from everybody. What do you really appreciate about your spouse? And what's maybe the biggest lesson you've learned about marriage? So what do you appreciate about your spouse? And what's one of the biggest lessons you've learned so far that you might pass on to people? So whoever wants to jump in.
I'll jump in.
Okay.
So what's the first question? What I admire about him?
Yeah, what do you really appreciate about your spouse? And maybe the biggest lesson you've learned about marriage?
Okay, so what I admire and appreciate about my spouse is his willingness to go above and beyond for his family. So even when he's tired and I can see that he just don't want to do it anymore, because something in him is that, but I got to do it for y'all. I got to make sure y'all okay. And yeah, that's just, I love that about him. And one lesson I would like to say to that I've learned, well, actually, I didn't even learn it from my marriage, but for my marriage. And that was by watching other marriages in my family, is that keep other people out of your marriage. Like legit keep them out of your marriage. Because if anything happens between you and your spouse that you're just not happy with for the moment, you still love him. You still love her. And you're not, you don't plan on going nowhere. You're just mad for that moment. But your people, they're going to stay mad. Okay? And they're not going to allow it to go away. So
and Erica, are you even talking about family as well?
Especially family.
Did you say especially family?
Mama, especially just family. Aunties, all them. Don't tell them nothing. Ain't none of their business. And just that's my one tip, and that'll help you with your happy home.
That's good. That's good. And I want to say this. I think our family loves us and they care about us. If we're hurting, they hurt. And they don't want to see their blood, their love hurt. So they're going to come hard. And so it's understanding that. And it can be hard. That's good wisdom. Daryl, how about you? What do you really appreciate about Erica? And, what's one big thing you've learned about marriage?
That's easy. The one thing I really, really appreciate about my wife is, like, most people would think a housewife is like somebody that chills at the house and eat bonbons all day, right? But that's really not the case. And through our marriage, I learned that. So I really love my wife because she takes on way more than she has to for me. And she does it with a smile on her face. And she makes sure that my kids are good. And she makes sure that I'm good when I'm home. Like, I just love her heart more so than anything else in the world. I just love that she loves me enough to do the hard stuff. Because my job is the easy stuff, but she does the hard stuff, right? And the one thing I can honestly say to anybody that's thinking about getting married is, like what my wife said, don't let anybody in your business. And the other part of it would be, honestly, have a plan. Like, really sit with your spouse as soon as you get married and write out your first 5 years. And honestly, try your best to stick to it, because it's a partnership. You know what I mean? We get married under God, but it's a partnership. So if I'm not giving 100% and she's not giving 100%, then we're both failing each other. So I would tell anybody, sit down, make a plan, and try to stick to the plan.
That's so good. Bishop Jake said something like that years ago. People would say it's 50-50 in a marriage. And I remember him saying a half man, a half a woman does not make a whole situation.
Exactly.
No, you giving 100, he's giving 100, and you got to both be bringing it. So good stuff. Let's pivot. Team Kelly or Dailies, what do you really love and appreciate about your spouse? Want to hear from each of you. And then what's one big thing that you've learned about marriage or through marriage? Whoever wants to jump in, doesn't matter.
You want to go?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, let's hear Dailies. Yep, they debating.
We can go. We can go while you guys.
Okay, go ahead. Looks like they froze a little bit. Go ahead, Team Kelly.
What I like about my wife, I love about my wife, is her fights, her zeal, her her heart to reconcile, no matter what relationship it is. Most importantly for me, just how she's just quick to want to come to a resolve, want to come to a solution, so that we can be in our loving place and so we can be well. And so I really appreciate about her because I don't have to worry about us dwelling on things too long. She is very just a caring person. She's a very loving person, and so I really appreciate about that about her. And so yeah, just I mean, like Daryl said, her heart is it's just full of love. So I really appreciate that. What I would say, the advice that I would give is to understand that your marriage is it's about you, but it's not about you. It's bigger than you. It's ultimately, if you want to, be spiritual, it's about God. It's about being an example to God's reconciliation with us. And so God love towards us. And so if we make that the center of our marriage, the love that we express and exude towards one another should be the love that God shows us and we show God. And so yeah, that would be my advice. Make him the center, put him first.
Make him the center. Because it's hard if we don't have a center. And so knowing, if the both of us are centered there, even when we go through the tough stuff, we've got a place to come back to. That's real good, Pastor T. Pastor Danny, and then we're going to pivot to the dailies. I'm going to let y'all go. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that I love Travoy's ability to rise. I just love that he's a fighter. Like Travoy is one of those people who also corrects like extremely quickly. I admire that about him. Like I can say like, hey babe, you smacking, and immediately he'll never smack again. Like, cause he's so, he does like self-discipline, and I don't have that kind of like correction, that auto feature. Autocorrect. Yeah, you're gonna have to remind me a few times. Yeah. So I love that, and I find that to be extremely admiring. And I also love his ability to show me a different world. Like I truly see the world differently because of his lens. I guess that was a little shout out because he's a photographer, but yeah, so I love that about him. I would also say that I've just learned that marriage, you don't judge it in the middle of it, you judge it as a race at the end. And so I just think that oftentimes what makes it challenging is it's almost like when you determine how this race is going to go in the middle. And the truth is, we've all seen those races where what we thought was not going to happen, it ends up happening at the end, and it ends up in victory. And so I've just learned that you don't count or pick what a marriage is right in the middle. You got to wait to the end. Keep on running.
That's good.
Bible study right here. That's a word for marriage, relationship, business, everything.
Yeah.
Your children, where we are health-wise, everything. Don't judge it in the middle.
Yeah.
Don't judge it in the middle at all. That is so good. We're going to pivot to the dailies here. So whoever wants to go first, what do you love about your spouse? And then what's one thing that you've learned about marriage that we would leave for the people here?
So what I love about Davison is he is willing to do anything and everything. There's nothing too small. There's nothing too hard. There's nothing that, the girl should do that or the guy should do that. From cleaning house, cleaning out the refrigerator, taking the kids here or there. He just, if it needs to be done, he about it.
Yeah.
So that's what I love the most about him. And what I would leave is that covet your own relationship. I know a lot of times it can be hard not to look at someone else or think something about someone else, but just focus and covet your own relationship and build that to the way you guys need it to be.
That's good. Good. Don't worry about what somebody else is doing. That was some advice my mother gave me. She said, you do what works in your house. Don't worry about nobody else. That's good, Latoya. Yeah. Davidson, I saw you, and we'll let you bring it together. I saw you were out on the cheer field with Cartwheel Connie, their daughter.
And it wasn't my choice.
But to the point Copres made, there's nothing you won't do. And that was like, I'm gonna get out here. That's what dads are doing, cheering with our daughters. You did that. So that's really, really cool. How about you? What do you love about Copres, and what have you learned in marriage? A lesson that you would share with others?
I love what she has become, right? We got married, and there's one thing that you really love, the things that you really love, but to see over the years the way she's a mother, how she takes care of not just the kids, but me. She makes me a priority, makes time for us. We still date on a regular basis. And I'll give her credit for that. And then just, besides her smile, her beauty, her physical traits, and just everything that she adds to me. I'm more serious. She's the life of the party. So she's the yin to my yang. I'm not trying to sound cliche, but when they say opposites attract, I do think she's an example of it. And so, just what she adds to me, right? And then how she's changed over life. So
that's so good.
Not to say, like, again, not sound cliche, like she completes me, but she has that other part. What I'm missing, she is.
Oh, Pookie.
Oh, Pookie. I'm not going to say what I would say to co-friends if it was just
it's my boyfriend.
It's them shoes on, girl. That's so good. And what's a big lesson you've learned to take us out?
People change. So, again, what I loved Toy for when we got married, I think she's added more to that than, or my perspective has changed. So, maybe loved her more for her physical traits when we first met. It's, her physical beauty's still there, but she's added a lot more. So we have to know the people that we marry change, and we have to be willing to change and shift with that.
Yeah. That's so good.
That's good.
That's the people tonight. Thank you. And I asked you all to do that. I was very purposeful. You all modeled for many of us something that's key. It's easy to pull down, tear down, they ain't this, ain't doing that, but to celebrate who we have in our life, to say, here's why I love you, here's what I appreciate. So whether you're dating, it's casual, you're trying, like Pastor Danny said, it's okay, just date. Everything doesn't, have to get right to an end game. Let the person let the person you're with know what you appreciate about them. Tell them that so that they can hear that. And so thank you all for sharing and being so straightforward with this. There's so many comments in the chat. And I think right here, Sabrina Harris is saying it all. I love all these married couples up in here. You all have done so much for us tonight. And again, if you have not put it in the chat, how they have blessed you, please do that so that they can see this later. And then most importantly, take something you've heard tonight and apply it. That's my big old thing. How do we win without perfection or permission? We take some action. We figure out what's one thing I've heard and that I'm going to give a try. Something I heard from one of the couples tonight, whatever it might be, like give it a try at your home, whether it's praying or letting go of stuff that's just not a big deal, giving some space, whatever it might be. And if you're feeling it, you may want to bite them a little bit and see what happened after that. I'm just saying, okay? Listen. Thank these amazing couples, the Dailies, Team Kelly, the Metoyers for being here tonight. Really, 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 you all have blessed us. And I thank you. I got a little something for you. It'll be in your inbox. But thank you. I'm going to let you go. I've got a few little quick announcements here, everybody. So hang out with me. So good night, Copres. Good night. Good night. Good night. I'm going to let you all go. Glad that you were here. Thank you so much. Good night, Team Kelly. Thank you for being here. I love you. I appreciate you. Thank you for being here. Going to type you out. And the Metoyers, thank you. I appreciate it. You back on land. You could be with us. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. I love you. I appreciate you. Good night. I'll be in touch. And to everybody who's here, thank you. Thank you for being here. My prayer is always that you are blessed, that you get something. We literally play before we pray, before we jump into the stream, because my prayer is that if one person gets a nugget of information from somebody who's here, or something that's said that helps, that enhances, that enriches your life, then it's what I'm to do. That's what I'm called to do, to just curate content and pull people together who you can glean from, who are winning every single day at life. They're not doing it perfectly. They're not going out and asking for permission. They're making it happen, and they're making it happen in their homes, as you've heard from the couples tonight. So thank you for being here. Here's what I want you to know. I love it. If you've got something you want to talk about, let me know. DM me, message me, get in touch with me, email me. And I had a friend who said, Charlotte, you know what? There's life after marriage. I said, you're right. She said, so can we talk about what life is like after divorce? Absolutely. So we're going to do it. I'm going to have her on, maybe some other people, to talk about that, because sometimes there can be this whole bad rap. I'm divorced. Woe is me. It's terrible. It's awful. I'm scarred. I've got this big, L on my head. And that's not the case at all. So we're going to be exploring that. And then March is Women's History Month. I've got some great people lined up. I've got a judge who's coming on, some folks in politics, some folks who are serious, huge influencers who've been on some reality shows, who are going to see how they've excelled, giving us some great advice. So you be on the lookout. March is Women's History Month. I'm showcasing some great, amazing women. And we're going to talk about not just life after divorce, but also single life, and what that looks like, and being able to love who you are and find love and all those things. So stay with me. Thank you. Thank you for being here. I wish you all well. Rest well. I'm going to get some, because I started really early today, so it's looking a little raggedy, but it's going to be better tomorrow. Okay. Thank you. Again, our goal is to win without perfection or permission in every single area of our lives. Keep going forward. Never back up, and I'll see you next week, okay? It's been real. Thank you all for being here. Appreciate you so much. Good night. I'm going to play my little outro video, okay? Here we go.